I don't know that I can do that while I'm sharing my screen. So Ken kind of might want to watch for questions.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'll help
ask
keep an eye on
people-
questions.
You can ask people to mute if you see them as host. If you see them on there, you can click on their mic if they're not muted and you want them to mute, or you may be able to mute everybody.
I will. Yeah, I will mute folks that if need be. So okay.
Okay, so now let's see if mine is working today, that we're going to hear the sound.
I also put the Tesla Club link in there in the chat.
Okay, so let's see if we can, I can share that. And now let's see what happens, whether you hear them. You hear it? Okay, just so that you guys know that this has been provided to us by Tesla. So a lot of the videos are theirs, and some of it may still be the old information. And of course, now I can't get to the next slide.
There you go. You're on to the next slide.
Right. So those are the 4 models. We have people, I think, that have everything represented, one of each of those. So we're going to start with basic operation.
And I think we did mention earlier this presentation that Tesla put together, since they were in the middle of upgrading the Model S and Model Y to the new, versions that just came out this past week. This particular presentation is targeted more towards the 3 and the Y, but there are some things that are obviously still applicable and may in fact become more applicable as the new S and X share the horizontal screen, et cetera.
Welcome to your Tesla. Congratulations, you now drive one of the safest, most advanced, and most fun cars on the planet. Thank you for your part in accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. Sure, your Tesla is an ever-improving supercomputer on wheels, but it's really easy to use. First, you should know that there's an on-screen owner's manual that contains everything there is to know about your car and how to use it. If you ever have a question or want to learn something new, simply pull up the owner's manual on the touchscreen. Tap the Tesla T centered at the very top of.
Oops. Yep. Sorry.
Were you interrupting, Leanne?
That's a good pose anyway, because the T isn't there anymore. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, the T isn't there. I was kind of trying to pause it.
So this slide deck was developed and given to us in mid-December, right before the December update that came out that changed the interface, across all of the cars. So as Yannick just said, the T is no longer there, but you can still get to the owner's manual from the car itself, clicking on the lower left car to bring up the menu and then to dig down from there into the owner's manual.
Right. I think it's down under software or service is where the manual is.
The screen. This brings up information about your car. Tap the words Owner's Manual within this window, and then navigate to a topic. To close this or any other window, tap the X in the upper corner, or simply tap outside of the window. Tesla Owner's Manuals are available online too, so you can check them out anytime. Just search for them.
Okay. So as we said, I think that it's under service now.
Welcome to your Tesla.
One of the things to point out too about the owner's manuals is that they do constantly get updated. So when you get, an update to your car in the month, you might not notice it because it's not often called out, but they will update things within the owner's manual itself. Not only about that update that just occurred, but other features where things may have changed, been added, deleted, et cetera. They will change over time. but they are searchable as it showed there. So it's pretty easy if you pull up the manual on the screen and say, I've got a flat tire, or how do I change a tire, or I need to be towed, or whatever it is, and go look up that information. It's right there on the screen.
Okay, so now they're going to show you the physical controls, which there are a few.
The steering wheel controls can do much more than adjusting your driving position. Spin the left scroll wheel to adjust the volume of media or a phone call. Press this control in to pause, play, mute, or unmute audio. Push it right or left to skip between tracks or radio stations. The right scroll wheel is primarily for cruise control. We'll cover that in more detail soon. Pressing in this control initiates a voice command. You can ask your car to do just about anything, and it's constantly learning new commands. Press, release, and then say a command once you hear a chime.
Navigate to Tesla headquarters. Show the backup camera.
You can also tap here on the touchscreen for voice commands.
Play Rocket Man by Elton John.
Uncommon issues that would require a service visit in a traditional vehicle can be resolved in a matter of seconds using a trick in your Tesla. Press in and hold both steering wheel controls until the touchscreen turns black. Then, lift off the controls and wait a few seconds for the screen to reset. Your turn signal stalk is right where you'd expect it. Press it up or down gently for 3 flashes. Press it all the way up or down to fully engage your turn signal. Unlike most other cars, the stalk will return to its central position while your signal is on. A sufficient change in steering angle will turn off the signal like in any other car. To disengage it manually, gently press the stalk in either direction. Pull the turn signal stalk towards you to flash your high beam headlights. Push it away from you to turn on your high beams. With auto high beams activated from the touchscreen, your car will do its best to automatically dim the brights when oncoming traffic is detected. You can also set your windshield wipers to operate automatically when rain is detected. Your car really works to...
Yep.
The steering wheel controls can do much more...
I wanted to pause that, not stop it. I was just going to say that again, there's a difference now, because we'll talk about where the wiper thing is now. It's not where they showed it. I don't know that the microphone is available on the screen anymore either. I have to find where we were in this video now.
Yeah, one point about the microphone too, Leanne, is that you need to press in the button and let up. You don't press and hold. I know that sometimes people, just because of maybe using their phone with Siri or something, they'll get used to pressing and holding a button and continuing to talk. It's press and let up, and then say whatever the command is that you want to say. I don't know how many have experimented with the voice controls. I know some people like that and other people maybe feel uneasy about it. I use it from time to time, and particularly if I want to search something on the web, that's when I really use it. I might, press in the button and say, search Google for Chinese restaurants closest to me or whatever. And then it will go bring up the web browser and conduct that search of Google. And it's a lot easier than trying to type that in by hand.
And it's worth going through all the menus too when you've got it. So you can turn on things like the texting interfaces and some of the autopilot features. And sometimes when they update, they get turned off and you have to turn them on again. So it's worth going through those menus. And there's little videos in your car that you can sit and watch too.
Yeah. Speaking of video, did you find where we were at in the video?
Yeah, no, I have to go back and
then just let it play and then drag it forward. Yeah. I guess, any questions? Let me check.
Release. And then
now I know, I forgot the.
I was going to see if there are any questions about the control so far. Doesn't look like it, but okay.
And say a command once you hear a chime.
And that's the thing. Sometimes that chime doesn't pop up or doesn't beep right away. My husband often pushes the button and then starts to talk to it before it's ready. You have to wait for that chime for it to be listening to you. Where's the thing there?
Navigate to Tesla headquarters. Show the backup camera.
You can also tap here on the touchscreen for voice commands.
Play Rocket Man by Elton John.
That's what I'm not sure is where that is anymore.
Uncommon issues that would require a service visit in a traditional vehicle.
Pardon?
Said you would think they would actually use Rocket Man when they said to play that. So
Yeah, you would think so.
yeah, I don't know how many owners were aware of rebooting their Tesla, but that's really what they're showing you here. It's a soft reboot where you're holding down both of the buttons and resetting everything. While they showed this being done with somebody sitting in a parking lot, you can do this while driving the car. Now, I know that freaks some people out because the screen goes black and you can no longer hear your turn signals until the screen comes back. But it is completely separate from the driving systems in the car. So you can still continue to drive your car even with the screen out.
And yeah, and it is disconcerting, but it works. And if anything doesn't work, if something is acting wonky, that's the first thing you should
First thing
do.
you do is
Try
reboot.
rebooting your car. Okay.
Can be resolved in a matter of seconds using a trick in your Tesla.
It takes more than a couple of seconds for it to come back to.
So to do that reboot, you just push and hold both buttons for how long?
It's
Until it goes black.
Until the screen goes black. Yeah.
Okay.
It's usually a couple of seconds.
Press in and hold both steering wheel controls until the touchscreen turns black. Then lift off the controls and wait a few seconds for the screen to reset. Your turn signal stock is right where you'd expect it. Press it up or down gently for 3 flashes. Press it all the way up or down to fully engage your turn signal. Unlike most other cars, the stock will return to its central position while your signal is on. A sufficient change in steering angle will turn off the signal like in any other car. To disengage it manually, gently press the stock in either direction. Pull the turn signal stock towards you to flash your high beam headlights. Push it away from you to turn on your high beams. With auto high beams activated from the touchscreen, your car will do its best to automatically dim the brights when oncoming traffic is detected. You can also set your windshield wipers to operate automatically when rain is detected. Your car really works to make your driving as easy as possible. To manually initiate a single windshield wipe, lightly press the button on the end of the turn signal stock. This also brings up the windshield wiper controls on the touchscreen, so you can select between intermittent low and high, continuous slow and fast, and automatic. Pressing in the wiper button all the way will wash the windshield. Use the right stalk on the steering column to select between drive modes. With your foot on the brake pedal, press firmly up for reverse, firmly down for drive, and lightly in either direction for neutral. Press in the button on the end of the stock to put your Tesla in park. The parking brake is automatically applied whenever your car is in park, so there's no extra step when you're somewhere steep. Also, once your car is in park, you can get out. There's no engine to turn off. Your Tesla powers off automatically when you get out and close the doors. One last notable physical control is above you. Press here for your hazard lights. Just about everything else can be operated using your voice or the touchscreen, which we'll cover next.
I haven't tried opening the glove compartment with my voice, but I bet that works. Okay, so this is kind of a little drawing that just tells you where all of these things are. Hazard beams or hazard lights are the one physical button in the car that's required by law. Windows, obviously, are also controlled by buttons. But that hazard light is up above your head, pretty much where it would be in most cars.
Yeah, and to note on the 3 and the Y, there's 2 ways to open the door. And so if you look at this diagram, number 1 will be what you usually use, but a lot of times people will mistakenly they'll use number 12, which is the manual release. The reason you don't want to use that is it doesn't pull down the window, so you can do damage to your door if you do that in a non-emergency situation, basically.
Right, so try to get people to use their thumb on that button up number 1, not the button or the manual lever.
Yeah, not the lever that they would pull towards themselves. Yeah.
That's true for you guys too.
Yeah, and the reason those manual ones exist is that if your car would, I don't know, dive off the road into a lake and lose power, and you couldn't, press the button to open your door to get out, that manual release is there. It's a backup safety mechanism.
The touchscreen works much like a smartphone. It displays and controls just about everything in your Tesla. The third of the screen closest to you presents the information that's most important while driving. Drive mode, current speed, and state of charge show at the top. Below is your driving visualization. This animates your Tesla's perception of its surroundings and gives readouts for active safety features like blind spot monitoring. Driver assistance features like auto steer are also indicated here. When your Tesla is in park, you can tap to open your trunks or charge port. Tap these icons to display the backup camera or charging menu, or to initiate a voice command from the screen. Tap here to view your windshield wiper controls. As a reminder, your windshield wiper controls also appear anytime you use the wipe button. Swipe left or right to toggle between what we call cards, which contain additional features and information.
We'll talk
Up
about
here
that
is your status
later.
bar. Most of these icons are interactive. Tap the Bluetooth icon to connect your phone for calls and media. Bring up the Bluetooth menu on your phone, and then on the car's screen, select Add New Device and Start Search. Once your phone's name appears, select it and wait for a prompt on your phone. Select Pair within the prompt, and you're connected. This fully interactive map serves as the backdrop for most of the screen. Explore by dragging, pinching, and rotating, just as you would on a smartphone. Tap to select a point of interest, or press and hold to drop a pin. These red pins are Tesla's supercharger stations, where you'll be charging on long-distance trips. You can always pull up these and other nearby charging locations by tapping here. Enter a destination here, or use voice commands.
Navigate to SpaceX.
If you need to charge to reach your destination, Tesla Trip Planner will automatically route you to superchargers along the way. Access more apps from the bar at the bottom of the screen. This is your app launcher, which contains most of them. The Media app is one touch away and can be moved so it displays below the map. You also adjust your climate from here. Just tap for front and rear defrosters, heated seats, or to turn on climate control and reveal the climate menu. Tap or slide to adjust temperature, or just tell your Tesla what setting you want.
Set the temperature to 70.
Press and hold here to turn climate control off, or again, just tell your car what you want. The climate menu houses many more controls. It's even where you position the airflow. Simply move it where you like right from the screen. This is pretty fun, so we're sorry to tell you that you'll probably only ever adjust it once.
So I don't know that they mentioned dog and camp modes in this.
Yeah, they
video.
don't in the video, so it's probably good that we should cover it. Do you want to cover it, Leanne?
Well, yeah, I mean, those are two options. Dog is useful if you have an animal, and it puts a big screen up that tells people if they look in the window that the dog is at a good, comfortable temperature, and my owner will be right back. And camp mode is good if you want to keep the AC on while you're camping or going to be sitting in the car for a long time, and it'll still let you play music and stuff like that too. But does it decrease the screen color so that it's not very bright?
I don't know that it does that. I guess I haven't
I think it does.
looked at May, but camp mode too. Like if you didn't put it in camp mode, your car eventually would shut down the HVAC system after a couple of minutes, to preserve the battery. In camp mode, you can leave that on. You could spend the whole night in the car if you want to. And I think it goes all the way down to, is it 10% of your battery being left, and then it would shut off. So it always leaves you something to still be able to get where you're going. And of course, you can turn that off at any time.
Your preferred airflow position saves to your driver profile, so even it's set exactly how you like it every time you're behind the wheel. Finally, tap here to bring up the controls menu, where you can view and toggle numerous settings. You even open your glove compartment from here. One important point to note in the driving tab: regenerative braking. As you lift off the accelerator pedal, your Tesla will slow down while recapturing energy and returning it to the battery pack. You can see on the driving visualization that your brake lights turn on when regen causes significant deceleration. It maximizes efficiency and control, ultimately making it easier to drive.
Anybody have any questions so far? I can't see chat, so. No?
The touchscreen works.
Okay, so this is the old touchscreen overview. And there's a couple of things that have changed on this. So I've made a new touchscreen image, which is here, which kind of shows that the cards aren't there anymore. The wipers are now a separate button on the bottom. And that's where the cards are, what they call cards, where you can swipe right and left to get to the trip recordings, and the tire pressures are now under here. Otherwise, a lot of the other things are the same.
Obviously, a different visualization of the car now, kind of a perspective mode. You can click on the front to open it, or the rear hatch to open it.
Yeah, Chris, this was Chris getting any of the
You can
car.
open the windows, and we'll show you the windows going down and up.
Yep.
To an inch.
Oh, even I didn't know that. So the camera is now here too.
Yeah, and if you want to get to the charging screen, the little lightning bolt at the top there is where you would get to it.
Up here, yes. Where those three things, and like I said, I don't see a mic anymore. So I don't know that used to be quite useful for the passenger to want to say something to the car. Now I don't know if the driver is the only one who can initiate a voice command manually.
So any questions from anyone on the controls? I see Eileen says still getting used to the new layout. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So was I. Okay, what's next? That tells me what's supposed to be next. Personalization. Yes.
Handy stuff.
If you've already found your way in, well done. The easiest way to open the door is to reach with your outer hand, press here with your thumb, and pull the handle. When you want to get out, press this button with your thumb.
Obviously, that's for the Model 3 and Y again, not for the S and X.
If you've already found your way in, well done. The easiest way to open the door is to reach with your outer hand, press here with your thumb, and pull the handle. When you want to get out, press this button with your thumb. Tap here at the top of the touchscreen to create your driver profile so you can get comfortable and save your settings. Reach down to the side of your seat to adjust the seat bottom, seat back, and lumbar support. To adjust the position of the steering wheel, go back to the touchscreen. Use the left steering wheel control to adjust your steering column up, down, in, or out. Select mirrors on the touchscreen, and then use the same left steering wheel control to adjust each side mirror. Select Save once everything is set. Your rear view mirror adjusts manually, like in any other car. It's a convenient opportunity to take a peek at how great you look in that driver's seat. You can readjust your steering wheel and mirrors at any time by selecting Controls and then Quick Controls on the touchscreen, or by using voice commands.
Adjust my steering wheel.
These and many other settings save to your driver profile, so your Tesla will always be just how you like it, even if you're not the only driver. You can link your profile to your phone key, and your car will automatically adjust to you as you open the door.
Okay. So this is just a kind of a summary slide of the
What they
different
just
things.
told us.
Yeah.
That may be a good time to break a second for questions. Make sure if anybody on the slides thus far.
So what's some everyone's, has everyone had the challenges with the personalization where I've got my wife and I, we both got the cell phones and the key fobs actually. And quite often, my wife will drive the car, then I'll drive the car. And when I open the car with my cell phone, it doesn't detect that it's me right away. So quite often it's may still set her settings. Does anyone else experience that where it doesn't always detect who the driver is?
Yeah, I mean, my husband and I have the problem because it doesn't know which one of us is driving as well. So I get in the passenger side first, it's connected to my phone. So we kind of turn that off and manually pick what we want. I also found, and I don't know if it's true more recently, that if it would change some of the things, especially on our Model S, it would change his seat position and stuff, but it wouldn't change to his preferred things in front of him on the S. So whether the music was on the left, and I like to have the energy graph. So there were some things like that that I thought it wasn't perfect.
Yeah,
It could be too that
Manually
the
pick us.
phone, if you have two phones and the two people are getting to the car, it will automatically detect the closest phone. Like I have that in the Chevy Bolt where if I go with my key fob first, then the car automatically goes to Bluetooth on my phone and not my wife who's hopping in a few seconds later. So if your phone is, you've got two people and two phones that have two keys, then it's possible the one that's going to be the closest is going to be detected first.
Yeah.
I also think they've got a preference. You can say that this is, if there's two phones detected, you can say this one's preferred.
Yeah.
And it'll go to that one.
Yeah, you can set that in the settings. That was a recent addition a couple of updates ago, that you can make one of them preferred. The other item that sometimes throws people off is that in their mobile app, they'll have, multiple cars in their mobile app, not just multiple people, but multiple cars. And then if they're not focused on the right one, then they end up getting controls for the other one. So,
Which is part next.
How about also on the mobile app? Do many people sit? It seems like it's in the wake up mode for quite often, kind of a long time. Is there a way to reduce that wake up time?
Do you have Android or do you have Apple?
Apple.
Okay, I can't tell you on Apple. I can tell you on Android that there are some settings about allowing the Tesla application to run continuously in the background. Once I turned that on my Android phone, then it picked up everything practically instantly. The wait times were significantly cut. But when that wasn't the case, it took longer. And what I assumed was happening was that the app was trying to reestablish communication in the background. And that's why I had kind of a wait time. I don't know if Apple has anything similar. Yannick, do you know?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the car sometimes goes into deep sleep if you haven't driven it in several days. And so it can take a little longer then too, unless you keep it active, which you can, but it keeps, it uses more power, obviously.
More power on your iPhone?
No, more power
on your
car. So the car will go into a deep sleep mode if it hasn't been driven in so many hours. But it's like, several days, it seems to go into levels of sleep.
Yeah, in the pandemic. I think if you've got if you have, what's it called? What's it called when it's monitoring what's going on around it?
Sentry mode?
Sentry mode. I think Sentry mode keeps it awake too.
Sentry mode does keep it awake. Yeah, there are third-party apps you can get like Teslafy. I have that on my car where it knows the status of the car because it's able to get in through the Tesla APIs. And I can literally go pull it up and say, okay, what's my car done in the last 24 hours? And it'll give me the exact times. If your car was in park mode from this hour and minute to this hour and minute, then it was in sleep mode from this time to this time, then it was, driving, whatever the case might be. And it is true that, as Bruce said, if a car has been in sleep mode, it does take longer to come back out with the app. So it could be the app on the phone, it could be the car itself, could be a combination of the two.
It seems like so I ended up buying the key fob. So I bought my wife and I both the key fob, and that works instantaneously.
Yeah, because that's the direct radio signal to the direct antenna that it's tuned to do that. Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
Sure.
Okay, then they're going to talk about the keys. Yes, I can get it.
Your phone is your Tesla's key. We call it Phone Key. Clever name, huh? Phone Key wirelessly communicates with your car over Bluetooth, so even when you're somewhere without cellular connectivity, your phone will function as the key. Open the Tesla app, sign in with your Tesla account credentials, and you can see your car and any other Tesla products that you have. To set up Phone Key, you need to use one of your backup key cards, so let's cover them first. These backup key cards are here in case your phone dies or you need to hand your Tesla to a valet. You should always keep one with you, wherever you keep your driver's license. To unlock your Tesla using the key card, press it against the driver's side door pillar below the camera, like this. Do the same to lock the car. To power on your Tesla so you can drive it using the backup key card, place it here behind the front row cup holders and press the brake. These icons flash, and park, reverse, neutral, and drive appear, indicating that your Tesla is ready to drive. You can now move the key card and shift to drive or reverse. While you'll rarely use the backup key card, you do need it to set up Phone Key. Here's how. Make sure that your phone's Bluetooth is on and open the Tesla app. Select Phone Key and follow the prompts. The app will have you tap the key card against the door pillar or behind the cup holders to complete the setup process. Once your phone is activated as a phone key, if you approach your locked Tesla with the phone key on you, pulling a door handle instantly unlocks the car. Simply sit in the driver's seat with your phone in the car, buckle up, press the brake pedal, and you're ready to shift to drive or reverse. We recommend activating walk-away door lock. With this setting on, you can take entire trips without reaching for your phone. When you walk away with your phone, your Tesla will automatically lock. With walk-away door lock off, tap the lock button within the app to lock your Tesla. You can also use Phone Key to control the trunks and charge port over Bluetooth. This is in addition to the span of other Tesla app controls that use the internet connections of your phone and your car. Quick note on the front trunk. The hood is made of aluminum, so it's much lighter than those of traditional cars. To close it, set it down gently and then lean into it with your palms on each side of the Tesla T, like this. It will click shut. Phone Key works as long as the car you're using is the most recent product to be pulled up in the Tesla app. If you've most recently selected a different Tesla product, you'll need to select the car you want to use before Phone Key will work with that car. As long as the correct car is selected, there's no need to have the app open or your phone unlocked. Your phone just needs to be powered on with Bluetooth active. Speaking of Bluetooth, there's a separate Bluetooth pairing process to connect your phone to the car for calls and media. We'll cover that soon. You can manage phone keys and backup key cards on the touchscreen by selecting Controls and then Locks.
So one little note, because I was just talking to a new owner a couple nights ago, and he was saying that his car wasn't locking when he was walking away from it, even though he had set the setting, for it to auto lock. And the reason that that was the case was because his car had not been set up in his phone yet. He was still using the little credit cards and didn't realize that if you use those credit cards to operate the car, you do need to manually lock or unlock that next to the pillar. It does, for the auto locking feature to work, it has to be set up in your phone app.
Any other questions or comments?
Your phone.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think I might have missed something, but it seems to me that my car wants me to have the app open in order for it to work as the
Yeah.
key.
And I think that again, maybe that you need to ask or tell the phone. And I think Ken just said this about Android, but it's true in the iPhone as well, to make it always accessible. So I think you need to go into your settings and make sure that, I think, that it's.
Yeah, Tesla used to have preferred phone settings for both Apple and Android on their website. And then I searched for them here about 4 or 5 months ago to give to somebody. I go, oh, we'll just go get the phone settings. And I couldn't find them anymore. So I don't know if they're somewhere else now or they just chose not to publish them. But whenever I get a new phone and I'm setting it up, that's one of the first things I do is like, oh yeah, I want my Tesla app to run all the time in the background. And then you don't have to have your phone out. It's just in my pocket or whatever.
Okay.
You should write something up and put it on the Owners Club site or in the files on the Facebook site.
We should. That's a good. I'm going to make a note of that, and we'll do it for both Apple and Android.
Okay. Cool.
So has anyone done that for Apple's?
I have, yeah. I went through. I had a whole bunch of trouble at the very beginning with things like that, and that might have been when they still had the instructions on the site, or I found it in some.
But any app in Apple products with iPhones, if you go to settings, you can set it where often the apps, if you've been using the apps for a long time, it'll ask you this app has been using it in the background. Do you want to keep doing it in the background all the time, or just when you're using the app? So there's settings that you can change usually for all of that.
And you have to say, yeah, I still want to keep using it. And it doesn't use a lot of battery.
It's in the phone settings itself, not in the Tesla app settings.
Correct.
Well, yeah, there's phone settings, and then there's also, it's good to check both because each app has individual settings in the settings. So you just have to scroll down through all the apps and then click on it, and then there's going to be settings for that.
Okay. Did it. Thanks.
I saw there was another question in the chat window, and Yannick, you answered about the question of, can you adjust the distance, like how far we walk away until it locks? And the answer there is no, because that is based on Bluetooth. So that is based on your phone and the antenna strength and the signal strength coming from your phone, as well as where you happen to be around the car. There's more than one Bluetooth antenna in the car. In fact, I think I was told one time that there are about a dozen different Bluetooth antennas in a Tesla. So given whatever direction you walk away from and the strength of your phone, it's going to be random as to how far away you are when it locks.
Did I lose anything there? No.
I don't think so.
This is the summary.
Yeah, just the summary.
Okay.
And again, if that worries you, you can always get a key fob and it'll lock instantly with the key fob. So.
Yeah, or pull out your phone and click lock on the phone app too. You can manually do it.
There's also little videos you can watch from the actual Tesla app. Can't remember where they are.
Yeah, I think it shows us coming up.
Oh, okay. I don't think there's a video on it. Do you think it shows?
So anybody who's new to an EV, one of the big advantages is you can preheat and pre-cool a car. So, even if you go get some groceries and you have to do an errand, you can pre-cool the car to keep your, shopping ingredients nice and cool. And once you get used to it, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Or to turn it on when you're getting ready to go out, so it's warm after work.
Yeah, and you can preheat it in your garage. You're not going to have any fumes spilling in your garage at all. So.
We'll also preheat the battery, so it's better for the regenerative braking.
Yeah, and that it's really nice to do while it's plugged in if you can.
Yeah.
Just so you're not using up energy. Okay. Autopilot.
For many Tesla drivers, autopilot is the very best part of Tesla ownership. With autopilot in use, driving is more enjoyable and you arrive at your destination more relaxed. And as with so many aspects of your Tesla, over-the-air software updates ensure that autopilot gets even better and more capable over time. Autopilot consists of active safety and driver assistance features that make your car safer and more convenient to drive. We at Tesla are excited about the full self-driving future. Today, you must be fully attentive and have your hands on the wheel at all times while driving, regardless of what features are active. Let's walk through Autopilot's key features so you can give them a try. Safety is our #1 priority in everything we do at Tesla. Not only is your car remarkably effective at keeping you and your passengers safe in the event of a collision, it also has active safety features that help you avoid collisions in the first place. You can review and toggle these features from the Autopilot menu by selecting Controls and then Autopilot. Available driver assistance features vary depending upon the car's configuration. Be sure to look for them on the Autopilot menu so you know how your Tesla is equipped and so you can enable the features you'd like to use. If you learn about a feature from these videos that isn't on your Tesla, we might be able to add it via an over-the-air software update. Check the Tesla app to explore upgrades. It's easiest to think of Autopilot's driver assistance features as advanced versions of cruise control. Like when using traditional cruise control, you are always in charge of what your car is doing, and you need to be ready to take action at any moment. The features make your driving easier and more relaxing. We'll cover driver assistance features from simplest to most complex. Traffic-aware cruise control, or TAC for short, adjusts speed based upon the vehicle ahead of you. When TAC is available, a gray circle with a number in it appears here. That number is your set speed, the fastest your Tesla will travel when TAC is engaged. You can adjust set speed preferences and others from the Autopilot menu. Activating TAC is very simple. You don't need to enter a cruise mode like in other cars. When TAC shows as available, simply press the drive stalk firmly down once, like you're shifting to drive again. The gray circle turns blue, indicating that TAC is active, so you can release the accelerator pedal. Your Tesla will travel at the set speed when the road is open, and will slow down as necessary for curves and traffic in your lane ahead. TAC responds to most objects, but can't recognize everything, so be ready to take over as needed. TAC does not attempt to slow for traffic lights, stop signs, or other traffic controls, unless your car is equipped with traffic light and stop sign control and has this feature enabled. To change your set speed while driving, simply spin the right scroll wheel on the steering wheel, up or down. Push the scroll wheel right or left to adjust your following distance. To deactivate TAC, push the drive stalk up or gently press the brake pedal. Auto steer builds upon traffic-aware cruise control by adding steering assistance. A gray steering wheel icon appears here when auto steer is available. Press the drive stalk down twice in quick succession to activate auto steer. The steering wheel icon and the lane lines in the driving visualization turn blue. If TAC isn't already active, it will be engaged as well. TAC is always on when auto steer is on. As its name suggests, auto steer automatically moves the steering wheel to keep you centered in your lane. It does the work of constantly adjusting steering for you, so you can just lightly hold the wheel and scan your surroundings so you're ready in case you need to take over. You should know that auto steer spoils you. You don't realize how much effort you've been putting into keeping a car in its lane until you drive with auto steer for a few days. You'll never want to travel long distance or deal with traffic in another car again. Sorry about that. If your Tesla doesn't detect your hands on the steering wheel while using auto steer, it will prompt you to apply more force to the wheel. It's measuring a small amount of turning force or resistance from your hands, so light turning force will clear this prompt. If you repeatedly ignore these warnings, you're using auto steer unsafely, and you will be locked out from using it for the rest of your trip.
You can also do the little toggle, increasing the speed by a mile and back down again, and that'll sort of keep you from being put into autopilot jail.
I think you can do the volume too, can't you? Any basically, it gets some getting used to. Anybody who's new to this, it gets some getting used to put a little bit of pressure on it. But once you get used to it, it'll work well.
Yeah. I mean, it's sometimes if you put too much pressure on, it takes you out of auto steer. So it takes a little bit of getting used to. I often take it out of auto steer when I'm passing a truck, because I feel like I should be slightly more that way.
Has anyone been using the bean bags to keep it on all the time?
No.
No, that's illegal.
It's illegal. But it
Yeah.
does work.
Yeah, it does, but I still, the thing it still doesn't do is avoid potholes. That's one of the
No,
things.
that's for sure.
So I tend, especially at this time of year, still pay attention to what's in front of me.
Oh yeah, you got to.
A larger amount of turning force will deactivate auto steer while leaving traffic aware cruise control on. To deactivate both auto steer and TAC, push the drive stalk up or gently press the brake pedal. If your Tesla is equipped with auto lane change, a press of the turn signal while auto steer is on initiates an automatic lane change. Check your mirrors and blind spot as you would normally. Press the turn signal stalk lightly when there's space, and with your supervision, your Tesla will automatically move one lane over and continue to steer in the new lane.
And it won't go over if there's a car in the way. Car knows that. So yes, pay attention, but it will move automatically too.
The hardware on new cars needs to calibrate before features like TAC and auto steer will be available. This one-time self-calibration usually completes within a couple hours of driving on well-marked roads. The gray icons won't appear until the required calibration has completed. Auto steer also needs to be enabled from the autopilot menu. As a reminder, more details about active safety and driver assistance features can be found in the on-screen owner's manual.
So this is the summary slide. Just, they want us to remind you that it's still in beta, and so you should still pay attention when you're driving and not use bean bags. Doesn't say here, but that's what I say. It isn't yet fully autonomous.
Any questions on autopilot?
I have one. So that auto lane change.
Yep.
I do the oh, hold on. The short toggle of the turn signal. And I feel like if my tires aren't over that lane by time those three little turn signal things come on, it stops going over. It just jerks me back over into the lane I was in.
So
Like I have to hold it up.
you should push it all the way on, so that, that farther push.
Yeah, if
Because
you're in
it-
autopilot, and if you're in autopilot and you want to change lanes, you want to do it as opposed to letting the car do it itself, if you're navigating on autopilot. But if you want to do it yourself, like I want to be in that lane, you need to click, if you're going left, all the way down, not just the three short flashes.
Oh, not
all the way down. Yep.
oh.
Or all the way.
Okay.
It will.
Thank you.
And
Another thing,
did on my old car, but on my old Model S, but on the Model 3, it'll turn it off after it moves over as well.
Yeah, it'll turn
Okay.
the off for you.
So you don't have to turn it off after you've moved into that lane. But I mean, it hasn't really talked about navigate on autopilot in these presentations, I don't think, Ken. So
Well, we can cover it at the end if it doesn't. I
Yeah.
think somebody else had something. There's another person with a question or comment.
yeah, one thing I noticed was that I didn't know it automatically turned off when you did the lane change, but the thing that got complicated is that you think that about lifting it up to stop the turn blinker, and then it accidentally tries to send you to the next lane, like go back to your original lane. That I learned that you can actually hit the turn signal back down again to cancel it in the same direction. So then it doesn't confuse the car if you're trying to go back the other direction.
right, and it should detect it. It's that slightly up or slightly down. Either one of those should turn it off.
One other question I had that wasn't related to this, but is there 2 windshield wiper fluid points on the vehicle, or is it just one on the passenger side?
You mean where you put the fluid in? Under the hood?
No, like where does it shoot out to the window?
Oh, no, it should be in both.
Should be on both wipers, yeah.
So
Okay,
it's-
because it's not working on my driver's side, so I need to look into that.
I would make a service appointment. And they probably, where are you located?
Here in Kansas City.
Yeah, so they'll probably send out a mobile guy.
Yeah, that's probably just a ranger to come out and look at that. Yeah.
But just set it up. It usually sets it up at the place and then they let you know if a mobile guy is gonna come up.
Yeah, I've already had the mobile guy come out once to install that home link that doesn't come with the Y.
Yes. Yeah. Any other questions?
All right, so let's continue.
Yeah. And this is, again, just reminding you of some of the things the video talked about.
Yeah.
And full self-driving.
Is there a video on this
Still
one? or-
need to turn, no, this is all just reminding you. So there it talks about, because the next video is on charging.
Oh, all right.
Do you know if anyone in Kansas City has the full self-driving beta?
I think there's one person here that does. It's a long story as to why it's not on my car at the moment. It was supposed to be, but it's a long story as to why not. I think there is one person here that has it, but yeah, no, it's still pretty tightly controlled in terms of who's getting that beta.
Any insight of when do we, the rest of us might be able to get it?
Now, I just asked about that last week with my contact at Tesla and said, when's the next update coming? When's the next expansion for people who will be into the program? And he said he had no insight, which means it's typically more than a month away if he has no insight into when the next rev is.
One thing that I might want to mention is that I tend to link my calendar to my car, which is really nice because if I have an address in I have an appointment and I have put the address in, if I open my calendar, I can click on it and it will use that information to navigate. So I don't have to be entering addresses and stuff when I want to navigate somewhere else. It also has a setting where it'll automatically navigate you to home or to work, depending on if you're at one or the other. I don't like that. I turn it off because it usually assumes I want to go to work these days, and I don't very often go to work. So we turn that.
Yeah, so you can also send destinations from your phone. So like, let's say, like, again, I have Android, so I'm probably using Google Maps, but I'm assuming you can do the same on Apple, where, maybe I looked up some business and, oh, okay, there's their address. Rather than typing that address in just on my phone, I will say share, and then it asks me what I want to share it with, and I'll say the Tesla app. And so it will then send that address to the Tesla app, which will then send it to the car. And when I get in the car, it's already navigating to wherever that address is.
Again, you have to have the right car selected if you have more than one Tesla.
Yes.
Is there a way to change like the default calendar?
I'm not from the car. So right now I noticed when I got into the car today that my phone had both my husband's and my assistant's calendars active, and all three of them were on my car. So it seems to know or use whatever was on the phone calendar app the last time.
Yeah, it takes in too many calendars for me too.
And that's new. So it used to only see, I think it's new on my phone too. I think my phone only ever showed me the calendar that I wanted it to. Now it seems to show me my husband's and my assistants as well. So yeah, the app isn't very smart on that. Any other questions?
Obviously, if you have full self-driving, you do have features like Smart Summon. That's particularly handy with a day like today if it's raining. and you come out and your car is within 150 feet and you don't feel like walking in the rain or you forgot your umbrella, summon your car to come to you and pick you up at the curb. I've done a few times at restaurants. You usually get some astonished stares by, people that are in your area or something. And these one people were freaking out. They're like, that car's driving itself. Where's it going? And I'm like, well, it's picking me up at the curb.
It doesn't work on inside garages. Basically, it only works in places where it has a clear view from satellites, or it knows the structure of the lot. So I tried summoning my car in my work parking garage, and it just had no idea where it wanted to go. Okay, so the next and nearly last video, I think, is the charging video. Nope, there's one software update video after this.
Okay.
This is your charging kit. Inside, you'll find your mobile connector, which allows you to charge your Tesla anywhere there's a power outlet. A standard 110-volt outlet charges your giant battery relatively slowly, so we don't recommend it as a primary charging solution. But it's nice to keep the connector in your car. You can also purchase adapters from Tesla that allow you to use your mobile connector with outlets that deliver more power. To charge with the mobile connector, first plug it into the outlet and then into your Tesla. A Tesla wall connector is the best home charging option. If you can, just top off every night at home. It takes 2 seconds to plug in, and your car likes to charge as often as is convenient. Here's how to plug in. Point the connector at your car and press here to open the charge port. You can also open it from the touchscreen, phone key, or by pressing on the charge port itself. The Tesla T illuminates in white, indicating that your car is ready to charge. Firmly plug the connector into the charge port, and the T will first turn blue to show that the car is preparing to charge, and then to a green pulse to indicate that it's charging. The green T pulses slower as charging approaches completion, and turns to a solid green when charging is done. To unplug, press and hold the connector button, and the T will turn blue and then white. Once it's white, simply pull out the connector and then release the button. Your charge port will close automatically. If the T is ever amber, this means that the connector couldn't be latched and likely isn't plugged in all the way. Unplugging and plugging back in more firmly usually clears this. A red T indicates that there's likely a fault with the charge source. Check your touchscreen for a fault message. Our incredibly fast supercharger stations have their own connectors that operate the same way. Supercharging costs more than local home charging, but always far less than the cost of gas. Supercharger sessions automatically bill to the credit card that you have on file. Say goodbye to the grimy gas station swipe. Tesla's expansive and rapidly growing international charging networks ensure that you can travel anywhere you like with ease today. We're happy that EV charging locations from other companies are also quickly spreading. There's an additional adapter in your charging kit that allows you to plug in at many of these locations, as well as at public and workplace EV charging stations. First, attach the adapter to the charging station's connector. Then, plug into your Tesla normally. When it's time to unplug, press and hold the button on the station's connector and grip the adapter with your other hand. Once the T turns white, remove the connector and adapter together. Then, be sure to take your adapter with you. You can use the charging menu on the touchscreen to schedule charging to take advantage of low-cost electricity, and to set a charge limit. It's best to set a charge limit within daily for everyday driving. Simply adjust to within trip from your car or your phone the night before taking a road trip.
Another trick is to tell it when you want to leave if you're going on a trip, and have it charge so that it's fully charging just before you go, because you don't want to leave your car at 100% for any significant length of time. That's bad for the battery. And those settings are in the car in the charging section.
So any questions on charging, whether that's with the mobile kit or the wall charger or superchargers?
By chance, does anyone have kind of an extension to the charging cable? I mean, I've got the 18-foot cord, but I've got my charger on one side of the garage, and sometimes I park the car on a different side of the garage. Just wonder if there's extension for that?
For the wall charger or for the mobile charger? I'm sorry, I didn't hear which.
So I've got the wall charger. You've got the wall
Okay.
charger. It's got the 18-foot cord. I just wasn't sure if there's another, like if I could buy another 10-foot,
Yeah,
I could take it even to the further side of the garage.
Yeah, there's not an extension for the wall charger. There, you must have a version 3 wall charger where they actually shorten the cable a little bit, and some people weren't happy about that. I've got the version 2 wall charger, and it's I think it's either 20 or 24-foot cable. It's a little bit longer. And I mean, it reaches from the front of my garage to the back, so I'm okay in that regard to be able to charge. There isn't any extension you can put on that. I mean, short of taking your wall charger off the wall, running electric line somewhere closer to where you think you'll be charging,
Right. Yeah.
and then hanging the
Yeah,
wall
no
charger
kidding.
again. But that's an expensive proposition, you know.
It is.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I sometimes get asked whether or not you can plug the mobile charger into an extension cord and then that extension cord into an outlet. Like, you know, if you're, I don't know, visiting somebody and their outlet's in a barn and, you know, you need the distance. You can do that. Tesla doesn't recommend it because, you know, obviously they don't want you to overheat an extension cable and they don't know the quality of that extension cable. But if it's a good heavyweight extension cable, you can put one in between the mobile charger unit and a more distant outlet. I mean, you're not drawing a ton of juice across that mobile charger anyway.
Yeah, I don't have a wall charger in my garage. I use the mobile charger and have done for 5 years.
What
So-
kind of outlet do you have, Leanne? Do you have a
1450 NEMA.
okay? So you've got a higher, at
Yeah,
least a higher
40.
output. Yeah, you've got a 1450. Okay. Yeah, I've been on trips where I did have to use the mobile charger. This was a couple of years ago at a hotel that my kids and I stayed at, and they had there wasn't any other charger nearby, and so I used the mobile charger. But was able, and you saw it in the video, you get anywhere around 4 to maybe 5 miles of charge per hour. But for us, that was okay. I mean, parking overnight, and the kids weren't up super early, so you know, in that 10-hour span of when it was overnight, we got around 50 miles of charge. So that was enough for the day to get around where we needed to go. And then we just repeated that process each night.
Yeah, level 1 charging is about 40 miles, you know, overnight. So give or take. So
With
it's
the,
slow.
with the 240, but he was plugging into a 110.
Yeah, I was
right?
plugging into a 110 in a parking garage.
Right.
Question in chat, is it bad for the mobile connector to stay outside? I have no garage. Tesla has said that it can be used in outside conditions. I've seen some people take like the part that has little LED lights on it, and I've seen them wrap that in like saran wrap or a plastic bag or something because I guess they feel like they want to keep water out of there. But Tesla says that it's okay to use that, you know, outside in the rain and the snow, et cetera.
Yeah, with electric cars, you don't have to usually worry. Once it's locked, I mean, you can be out in the rain and the snow. It doesn't really affect it.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time I went to a supercharger, it took me a while to figure out that you just need to lift it up slightly to get it off the hook. So, you know, make sure you lift it before taking it off. Just trying to pull it off like you would a gas hose doesn't work. You have to lift it up slightly, and the same way putting it back. Always make sure you hang it up correctly, not leave it laying on the ground at superchargers.
Yeah.
I also sometimes had trouble getting out the adapter on a charge point, you know, the other level 2 when you're using something at Shawnee Mission Park or Ivy. Getting that to come out. Sometimes I just take off the handle and then unlock it manually with my app and pull it off. I had trouble with that in the beginning as well.
Yeah, speaking of apps, a good app to have on your phone is the PlugShare app, because you can find other, whether it's ChargePoint Network or other charging networks, Electrify America, et cetera, in addition to the Tesla network that will be in that app. So if you're ever someplace where you're concerned that you can't get to a Tesla supercharger and you're still looking for something that's going to charge you at a decent rate, use that app and see what's close by.
Yeah, and it is good to have the charge point and actually go to Evergy to sign up for their clean charge network, which is a charge point account, because you can use your app on your phone or you can get a card that actually unlocks those. And Evergy has some, especially before the pandemic and hopefully after the pandemic, has events that they invite people who have those accounts to go to. One was at Boulevard a couple of years ago, and they've had some at Tanner's Wine Bar. So it's useful to have that community as well.
Yeah, and it used to be all of those charge point stations were free, but then what was that, 2-3 years ago now? I remember it was like, in January a couple of years ago, the owners of the stations could start charging for it. So you'll still find some that are free. Like I think a lot of the Hy-Vees are still free.
Chalk Mission Park is free.
Is that free? I think Kohl's is Kohl's still free?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But other places, then you just have to look on the screen as to whether or not you're going to get charged for it.
Hoffman Foundation is free.
What do you need to sign up for on Evergy? I mean, you just go to their Clean Charge Network website. They'll, have you put in your contact information. They'll send you out a little key fob thing in the mail. You'll be able to then use the app to unlock the charge point stations. And I think for me, I use my PayPal account was my method of payment. So if I do go to a charge point station that's going to cost me it, they just bill, they take like $10 out of PayPal at a time. And then they, use against that $10 until I don't have any left. I'm assuming they'll do the same with a credit card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's better than using just like the charge point app?
Well, it's better to get your charge point app tied into the Clean Charge Network. So
okay,
that Evergy will have your contact information.
Gotcha.
And I think I might have gotten a new one when I did that, but I think you should be able to take one that you have existing and link it up as well. Sometimes you may have to email them to make it all work, but
it's good to have a few apps on your phone. The charge point ones, the Electrify America is also one I have, just because it just gives you options. I mean, of course, they have all different pricing on
most of the Electrify America ones, the fast charge, you either need the adapter for the which I have and I've never used.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a CSS adapter on our cars.
Not yet, anyway.
No.
Yeah, those charging stations usually have the OCCS, and then they have one CHAdeMO, which is just one if you have the adapter. But again, yeah, you need the adapters for that.
Yeah.
All right.
So here's where the scheduled departure scheduling can be done from the supercharger.
And I know some people who definitely schedule their charging at night because they're on that program from Evergy where the cost of electricity is lower at night. So they're charging when it's, 4 cents a kilowatt as opposed to 13 or whatever during the day.
Which is worth looking into if you can be, if you can force yourself to remember not to run the dishwasher during the day or run the washing machine during the day. It can save quite a lot of money, but during the pandemic, I didn't go on it just because I can't remember to do all that. I'm home all day.
More than one mobile connector. Sure. Yeah, you can have more than one mobile connector.
I don't know what that means.
Well, I mean, if I know people who their mobile connector, they've accidentally driven over it or something and it's gone bad. So they had to go get a second one because that one didn't work anymore. I don't know why. I mean, if you wanted to keep one at home and one in the car, you could do that. Sure. There are people who do that.
From my former Tesla that is no longer, I still have that mobile connector. So I have 2 mobile connectors.
You have 2, yeah.
I keep one in the car and I keep one in my garage.
Yeah, exactly. You can do that. All right, should we move on?
Yeah, that's some of the different, so I use the mobile connector.
Oh, one thing I should probably point out about the wall connector is that our sponsor, one of our club sponsors, Solar Planet, if you are a Tesla Owners Club member, so you've paid the $10 and you've gotten into the club, they are doing a special where if you get a new solar installation from them, so whether it's on your roof or your yard or your barn, wherever it is, they're throwing in a wall connector and wiring up your wall connector for you. So that's, I don't know, those things are what, about $500 for the wall connector. And then the electrician is usually that much or more to wire the thing up depending on your circumstances. So if you've been thinking about solar, I would certainly, to put in a plug for our sponsor, and you don't have a wall connector, it's kind of a win-win.
Yeah, the other sponsor we have is the one that'll do wraps and ceramic coating that gives deals as well to club members. And
Yeah,
those
again, if you're
sponsors are
a
on our
club member,
website.
yeah, again, if you're a club member that you're talking about detail, auto, and window tint, they will do special discount pricing for club members, again, on window tinting, on clear paint protection film, on ceramic coatings, those types of things.
And if you're planning on being on the road, rock chips are a problem. Having a wrap helps protect the car.
Especially at high speeds.
On the expressway, yes.
And Brittany, your option there is to still get solar, but put your wall charger at your vacation home.
Okay, they talked about what the different lights mean.
I have only ever once had a red light on mine, and that was shortly after I got my original Model S and my original wall charger. And it was because the electrician had done something wrong in the electric box itself, and my electric box was melting itself. And the wall charger picked that, I guess it was probably some sort of additional drain or draw or something, and it turned it red. And I went out and unplugged the car and found my electric box was on the verge of catching on fire, but it did not. So there was a nice save from Tesla. Except
I had
it has a red light.
I had the amber at a supercharger once, and it just wouldn't connect, and I moved to a different one and it worked fine. So it was the charger, not my car.
So I see the question we have in chat from Aline about the red light from time to time and no electrician can figure out why. I would ask if the electrician who put in the wall charger was familiar with the wall chargers and some of the settings that they have.
Okay.
I mean, feel free to unmute yourself and answer that. There are some settings in the configuration of the wall charger that if they don't get those settings right can cause red lights. And as Brittany says, if there's an issue with polarity, that can also cause a red light.
And those settings are available on the website, on the Tesla website.
For the wall charger? Oh, it's actually an instruction manual of the wall charger, but it's on the website as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I used the mobile charger, but I took all the information and gave it to the electrician.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I know that depending on the electrician, they may or may not be familiar with wall chargers and some of the settings for how much current it's going to try to draw versus the breaker size versus what your car is capable of drawing. And you want to get those things set right.
I think it's important to remind people who got 1,000 free supercharging miles, if they used a referral or if somebody used their referral, they only last for 6 months. You have to use them within 6 months or they disappear. So it's, if you've got it, and you might want to go for a drive before they disappear. When you're in a supercharger, it's still showing the amount on the screen, even though it's not charging you that amount. It doesn't say 0 if you have supercharger miles that you're using. Destination charging. There are places like The Raphael here in Kansas City has a destination charger. There's a lot of hotels now are.
Grinders Restaurant, yeah. So Leanne, my supercharging miles expire June 30th of 2023, just FYI.
I think they keep getting added if you get
Yeah, I think they keep
more-
bumping the date as long as you add more. I don't know.
if somebody uses your referral. But mine, I had some expire in last June. But I'm surprised. So do they just bump it every
I'm
time
guessing.
by another 6 months?
Maybe so. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, destination charging is like having a wall charger someplace, a hotel, a restaurant, et cetera. So those are nice to have. And they show up on your screen. In the old days, they didn't show up. They only showed superchargers. But now the screen in the car shows both destination and superchargers.
Yep. And you know how many miles you have left. They're in the app, the Tesla app on your phone. I don't know if they're in the account on the computer as well.
All right.
So I think this is the last
The last video.
There's a lot more that you'll learn about your Tesla as you spend time with it. In fact, the learning never ends. Your car gets better with time as new and improved features are added via over-the-air software updates. To ensure that you get these updates, it's best for your car to be connected to Wi-Fi whenever it can be. To join a Wi-Fi network, tap the connectivity icon on the status bar, select the desired network, and join as you would with any other device. Your car will now automatically connect to this network whenever it's within range. When a software update is ready to install, a clock icon will appear on the status bar. Tap this icon to schedule installation. Your car isn't drivable while an update is installing, so it's often best to schedule it for while you're sleeping. When you wake up, you'll step into an even better and more capable Tesla. And
you can also activate it from your app. So you don't have to go and get in the car and manually say, start update at a certain time. You can update it from your bed on your app in the middle of the night if you like.
you'll be greeted with release notes that walk you through what's new. You can always access the release notes from your most recent update in the Software tab within the Controls menu. Tap the Tesla T at the top of the screen. Here, you'll find the phone number for Tesla Roadside Assistance. You can simply tap it to call. It's a good idea to save this number in your phone. You can also
Anybody know where it is now that T isn't there?
It's probably under service. I mean, it's obviously on the phone too. You can go and schedule service on the phone.
Yeah.
And like they said, I just have it saved in my contacts. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I tend to use the app to get, if I need to schedule or whatever. And roadside assistance is there as well. But I have AAA. I had AAA when my car went out of warranty. So I still have AAA as an option as well. Where'd it go? There it is.
also request roadside assistance and view status updates on the Tesla app. We're here for you 24/7 if you're ever in need while out on the road. If you'd like to schedule a service appointment, you can do so right from the app as well. As a reminder, you can purchase upgrades for your car within the app too. Even more upgrades and accessories can be found on our website at shop.tesla.com. These and other instructional videos are available on your car's touchscreen whenever you'd like to brush up on your knowledge. Pull up the app launcher, select Entertainment, Theater, and then Tesla Tutorials. The detailed information in the owner's manual is always here on the touchscreen as well. It's even accessible with a voice command. Display Owner's Manual. The best way to learn is to start driving. Your Tesla is designed to be the safest, most convenient, and most fun car you've ever driven. Enjoy it. And thanks for accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy.
I guess I should say, in terms of speaking about driving, we have, as a club, had past driving events. Obviously, when COVID hit last year, we took our monthly tavern night events that were in person and we moved them to monthly Zoom calls. So feel free to attend those. We did do a couple of in-person socially distanced events last year. I anticipate we will do some more of those again this year. And we do also participate in some regional events that take place, like the Great Car Show. that's every year at Liberty Memorial. That's a good opportunity for, and Leanne, I think you would agree with this. Our voices are shot by the end of the day because so many people come up to us and they want to know, how long does it take to charge? How far can you go? What does it cost? And that's fine. I mean, our job is to be there and educate them and help them better understand, what Tesla is about. And so we welcome those opportunities. It's, again, something else that the club does. We also like to try to do fun social events. We did an event at a winery last year. I think we usually try to do at least one winery event a year. And we did one where we followed that up with some ghost hunting. Where we actually went out with some paranormal investigators at the winery we had previously been at and some of the buildings that they had on site. So I think people enjoyed having kind of a different type of event to do. But we'll also do, again, car shows. There's the Lake Garnett Grand Prix that I know some members have gone down to before. And again, Yannick, you could probably chime in. You were given test rides how often in the Tesla?
Oh, nonstop. If I didn't have to come back, it would have continued for sure.
Yeah, nonstop. That there's a lot of different cars they can select to ride in, and invariably people want to ride in the Tesla.
And I just like to know there's a very active EV community outside of just being Tesla owners. And there's a separate web page or a separate Facebook group for any EV owner, and they do a lot of things as well.
Yeah, they're supposed to, I usually organize, there's usually an Earth Day Drive Electric that I usually do around March or April. And then there's a National Drive Electric Week, which is in September. Of course, last year it was mostly virtual. Hopefully this year we'll have some other events. We'll see how things go. But there's definitely events going around. And if anything else, even if it's not Tesla related, you've got questions, you can always reach out to me too if you want. Don't own a Tesla, but I've driven electric cars for more than 5 to 6 years. Nissan Leaf, Chevy Bolt, and all that stuff. So if anybody else is curious about that stuff too, there's a lot of people that have a Tesla and another car, another like EV. So feel free.
I guess at this point too, let's open it up. I think it's the end of the slides, and I know we're right up against our time window that we had set up. I'm happy to stay on longer and answer any questions. But for those who do have questions, go ahead and come off mute and ask away, and we'll do our best to answer them.
Okay, I'm sorry if this was answered in the beginning. I was a little bit late. But what is the difference between roll and creep on the braking?
That's sort of going back to if it's an automatic, like an automatic car, if you take your foot off the brake, it will creep forward, right? It has kind of a low, and so that you can mimic that in Tesla. The other one, I forget what the middle one is called. That's more like if you had gear shifts and stuff. And hold is where it will automatically come when you coast to a stop, it will go into a braked stop, so it won't roll back. But the other one would roll back if you were on a hill and you took your foot off the brake. Hold is the one that I use, and that basically you can end up not using the brake at all if you have hold activated as the option.
Yeah, hold is what I use as well.
Does that answer your question, Lauren? Was that Lauren?
Yeah, I've been using hold, but I was playing with it and I couldn't figure out the difference between roll and creep.
Creep, it'll pull forward. So if you're at a stop sign and you take your foot off the brake, it will creep forward.
Yeah.
And it didn't. I felt like it still rolled forward on roll. I was like, am I creeping or am I rolling?
Whichever way the road is, if the road is on a hill, it will roll towards that direction.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so it might roll forward, it might roll back. But with creep, it's go forward.
Think of roll as being in
neutral. On a car where you had manual. So it's more like manual.
Okay.
Automatic.
I must have just been like on, at the same, like on a downhill. And so I was rolling forward and I'm like, well, this is the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
So I wrote down all the apps that everybody mentioned that for charging purposes. Are there other apps that you would suggest besides the one that comes with it that would be useful?
I have, let me just look at I have PlugShare, ChargePoint. Superchargers is another one that's really useful because it has chat and people will talk about where to go to, where the food is good or what other facilities are there. It takes a little bit of getting used to. It's not intuitive. You kind of have to dig in it to find that information, but it's really good. It's just called Superchargers. I have Park Advisor because that has RV parks. So if you're in the middle of nowhere and looking for charging and you have your mobile connector, that one can be useful. And if you go to other places, there are SemaConnect, PlugShare usually has all of them, but sometimes you need to get the local one to be able to pay for it.
And it's also integrated now. I mean, on the iPhone, if you go to your Apple Maps and just type EV chargers, it will actually show you all the EV chargers in your area.
Oh,
integrated
great.
now with the
I
maps.
didn't know that.
There's also another item. It's not an app, but it's a website called abetterrouteplanner.com. It's a mouthful, but if I'm going on a trip somewhere in a Tesla, I will see what the car thinks it needs to do on the screen. And then I'll go run it on a better route planner and see, again, if I can shave time, shave stops, what might I do differently? And sometimes I think that it ends up being a better choice than what the car provides you a safe choice. If you want to stretch things a little bit, if you're going to hypermile a bit or whatever, and then move on past the station, I think a better route planner can help you with that.
The one I tend to use is EV Trip Planner. It's the same. And that you can, in both of those, you can set temperature. So as you may all have noticed that your mileage goes down in the winter because the battery isn't as efficient and you use your heat and that uses up a lot of energy as well. These apps will adjust for temperature differences. They will adjust for elevation differences and things like that. It will tell you, you can set it so that it will show you not just superchargers, but other charging options. And I like to plan mine, as Ken was saying, I don't like to listen to the car. I like to stop more often than the car wants me to stop. And so I will set my car to go to the supercharger I want it to go to. And that's important too, because the car will begin to precondition so that it gets the most efficient charging once you get to that station. If you stop somewhere and it thinks you're going to stop at one further away, it won't necessarily precondition.
Just to jump in on something that Leanne just alluded to, there's a really good trick in the winter. Keep your heat down low and use the seat heaters. They take a lot less power. I run at about 66 degrees plus seat heaters. Works fine.
And wear warm socks.
Yeah.
And that's a place where the new Model Y owners have an advantage over most of the rest of us. I know Model 3 is now getting it too, and I'm assuming the new S and X will have it, but it's that octo valve that does quite a bit better job in terms of heating or cooling the inside of the car, from efficiency standpoint.
Good. Okay.
There are some driving tips in the winter that you'll find on your app and on the internet as well.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Does anyone have a problem whenever like you lift off of the brake and it starts to roll?
I think maybe check those settings you have do you have hold set or?
Yeah, then you're probably not in hold.
Yeah, probably not.
So there, a big button will come if you've got your app, if somebody wants to go to their car, they can show that the options for.
Is it in the same place where it has creep and the other ones?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's under that same menu.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll want to put it in hold. And again, as I think Leanne or somebody said earlier, you can really almost one pedal drive if you're in hold. And I do that a lot where, you know, I'm pressing on the accelerator, but as I'm coming up to a stoplight, I know my rolling distance well enough now that I know when to just let off the accelerator and let the car coast down, regenerating braking to a point where it needs to stop. And I don't need to touch the brake because it's in hold mode. And then when the light turns green, you know, press on the accelerator again. Really saves your brakes a lot.
So do you need to turn off regen whenever it's raining and snowing?
No, some people like to change their regen to a lower rate when it's snowing. I have played with that extensively on 2 different Teslas, and I found no problem getting around without changing it, just leaving it on full regen, because the car is smart enough that when it senses the slip, it backs off. So I don't know that there's really that much to be gained by doing that, other than you just don't try to regenerate as much as you normally would. So, you know, the car is still safe either way. I would leave it on the regular setting, and unless you feel uncomfortable or you have some issue, just leave it there and you should be fine. I've driven through multiple winters now. What was that one we had 2 years ago? We had like 12 inches of snow in one day. I intentionally went out with, now I had good snow tires on my Model 3, but I intentionally went out with the all-wheel drive Model 3 and drove in 12 inches of snow just to see if I could do it. And it was a blast.
I think the only time I've ever had my car slip was when it was sheer ice and I was on a hill, and it wasn't regen that put it slipped. It was the wheels just had no traction. And I find that also if you just feather the accelerator, the regen won't kick in as hard or at all. If
That's true, yeah.
And so that you kind of learn to control the car and get comfortable with it. But somebody mentioned that it's hard going from a car with regen to a car that doesn't have any regen, and I can attest to that. I was driving my friend's van and got off an off ramp and forgot that it didn't have regen braking. And we kind of both freaked out at the same time.
You're standing on the brakes because I need to brake now. Yeah.
So it is hard going back and forth. Luckily, we only have Teslas now, so it's not a problem.
Other questions?
Okay, this is not a car question, but the owners club, you said it's a $10.
It's a $10 one-time setup fee, yeah.
And I signed up and it hasn't asked me for anything.
Okay, so then so it's a 2-step process. When you click on join, the first thing is setting up your like email address and password.
Right.
But then the second step is going through the payment information process. So if you click on the join at the top of the website, it should show you that it's a 2-step process. So it sounds like you've done step 1.
Yeah,
you created an account on the website.
Got it.
But to actually get into the club, you have to go to the second one, and that's choose your, you know, like I want an individual membership, I want a family membership.
I think she found it now, so she's
got it.
Yeah.
Good, thanks.
Okay. And the reason we have to do that is at some point that the club aspects of collecting the member information and the payment information, all that, and as well as the message forums are all going to transition over to a Tesla hosted site. The Tesla finally decided, hey, you know what, it's probably best that we don't have all the clubs doing all this different stuff themselves. It would be better if we did it, you know, universally. So at some point that's going to transition over. And what will be nice is you'll be able to access your club information from the app on your phone. So you'll be able, you could say, oh, is there a Tesla club near me? You know, I'm visiting a city. Oh, there is. Here's how I contact the people there because I have a question or something like that. You know, and then, you know, if you want to chat, ask questions like you're doing today, we'll have chat forums and stuff set up for that. So it's coming. It's just not there yet.
Cool. Thanks.
Sure.
And being part of the Facebook group does not make you automatically part of the club. So
yeah, that's something we run into from time to time. People get into the Facebook group and they think that makes them a member of the club, and it doesn't.
So I just wanted to add that the Owners Club forum is also a really good place. If somebody's a new owner, that's where I joined first before I found that there were people in the area with this group. So that's helped me a lot. And it has like categories, unlike Facebook, categories and keywords and hashtags that you can find your exact issue or thing
Yeah.
that you want to read about.
Google is my friend. I mean, I tend to Google, and a lot of times it'll take me to the right place in the forum. But the forum is good.
So I don't know if this was mentioned earlier. I kind of joined in like 20 minutes later. Maintenance. Now, I've only had mine for a year, and I've seen good things about and some bad things as well. I know that it's very minimal compared to an ICE car, but one thing that scares me is the 12-volt battery and like the MCU. I'm sure that's going to be a few more years until it starts being old. So has anybody had any experience with the 12-volt battery or something kind of failing on them regarding maintenance wise?
So in my Model S 2015, my 12-volt battery, I got an alert and I contacted service, and service said, scheduled an appointment for me a week later. And I just responded to the text saying, I don't want to wait a whole week. And they texted me back saying, just bring it in today then. So,
Leanne, when was that?
and that was about a week, 2 weeks before it was totaled in November.
Okay, so 4 years later, or whatever it is. I mean, yeah, 12.
Yeah.
So your 12-volt battery didn't go bad. It just got to its end of life because most of them don't last but 4 or 5 years.
There are some people that report it's died and they didn't get any warning. We got a warning, and I was concerned it was going to die faster than the guy said it would be fine, but that was also a model that the MCU problem was supposed to come up on.
Right.
And I never had that problem. I think that's only the early models of the car.
And they've extended the warranty on the MCUs now too. And have
so, I mean, it took them a while to do that, but I was anticipating I was going to have a problem, and I didn't.
I have a 2016X, and I've actually replaced the 12-volt twice, and it came up with a warning both times, and we had the mobile group come both times.
Wait, what's Bruce cooking back there? Bruce, what are you cooking us?
Pasta.
All right, we'll be over shortly, Bruce. Make enough for everyone. Yeah, I mean, you're right about service when you ask the question. I mean, minimal compared to a regular ICE car. The only thing I know people are changing, like on their Model 3, is maybe their cabin air filter because they feel like after a couple of years it's a little mustier. They want a newer one, that kind of thing.
And you can do that yourself.
Yeah, you can do that yourself. You can buy the part off Amazon and do it yourself. And same thing for a 12-volt battery. You don't need a special 12-volt battery in a Tesla. Any good 12-volt battery you can get and put in.
But I think you're probably referring to the fact that people complain about how hard it is to talk to a person,
right,
and get service to help. And like I said, when I scheduled it and I texted to them and they texted back. So they are minimizing people and trying to use and they addressed this the other night on the earnings call. There was a question about, well, can't service be improved and can't I talk to a person? And they said, we're trying to minimize the amount of service that you need, period, by improving our cars over time. And we believe that this is the best way to handle it in a forward-thinking company. So I don't think that's going to change. Use the app and text, and usually a person replies.
Yeah, I was just say, that being said, I will say that any service I've ever had done at the service center or remote service coming out has been fine. I've never had an issue with it. But I understand, like any car company, nobody's service is perfect. You're going to get the oil change that goes bad. You're going to get the whatever it is that didn't come out the way that you liked it. And that's unfortunate, but those have to be dealt with on a case-by-case basis.
The last time, it's just been a couple weeks since the 12-volt battery went out, and I was able to go in and schedule on the app, and it was, I want to say it was at least 2 weeks out. And I thought, oh, well, that'll just be kind of annoying to have that symbol come up all the time that it's low. And they ended up contacting me and said, you know, we'll work you in. So they came like within a couple days. They said, we know that's kind of annoying to have that warning come up. So, and we just, you know, kind of work you in kind of thing.
And I'm sure that Tesla will not tell you that they give preference to club members, but if you are a club member and they see you at an event and they get to know you, it doesn't hurt your cause when you need something like that done a little bit sooner.
Bill just commented in the chat that they had a tire go bad, and that they sent out Santa Fe Tow.
Yeah.
Swap it
Yeah,
out.
Santa Fe is their preferred tow provider here. And in fact, Santa Fe keeps wheels and tires in stock at Santa Fe Tow to come out and swap onto your car so you can get moving, and then, you know, they go back and get the thing replaced later at the service center.
Have you reached out to them to ask them if they want to be a club sponsor?
You know, I will. I guess I haven't yet, but I will. Yeah.
Any other questions? You guys are held out for the overtime.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. This was great.
I hope to see some of you in person and maybe the fall.
Get signed up for the club. Come out to some events.
Thank
You know, join
Come to
our
the Zooms.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Zooms
join
are
our
what,
club.
second Tuesday of the month, third Tuesday of the month.
Third Tuesday of the month.
Yeah. So and those are on the Facebook and the website, the Owners Club website. It's the same link. So if you save this link,
It'll be the same Zoom. Yeah.
it'll be the same Zoom.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming. And go out and enjoy your Tesla.
Yep. Drive.